Over the last half to three quarters of a century, people in North America have had the luxury of being able to debate the relative benefits and consequences of capitalism versus socialism. People are pretty much entrenched on either side, but we are now on the precipice, on the verge of losing that luxury. The only thing that's going to save this country and the countries around us, Canada and Mexico, is going to be socialism. Because, folks, if you think capitalism in its current form continuing on is going to be the savior of our country and our values, folks, I don't know what you're looking at. Things are getting far worse by the minute, every single day. People are being forced into making decisions that even 10 years ago would have seemed beyond anything they could have imagined. Now, I don't mean to overstate it, but there was a time when grocery stores in America, their primary job was to make sure that the people in their neighborhoods and their regions had fresh, wholesome food to put on the table for their families. Profit wasn't the motive. Profit helped things, but it wasn't the primary driver. Now, it's the primary driver. And we are at a state where this country is now going to have to choose one of two directions. And I think in a few years, it's going to come to a head. See, a lot of folks have applauded Mr. Trump and his tariffs, not realizing that he learned that idea of tariffs from Barack Obama. I know that sounds crazy, doesn't it? But go back and look. Go back and look at the years prior to Mr. Trump's first iteration as president. Look at the years of Obama and what they were criticizing the man for in the last 3 to 4 years of his presidency. What were they criticizing Barack Obama for? Tariffs. On all sorts of things. Now, Mr. Trump wants to say that they're going to be the savior of America when they have been largely associated for many, many, many centuries. Tariffs are not a new idea, by the way. With prosperity, with nationalism, with protecting one's own people. Now, real quick, before I get farther into this, God bless all of you. Thank you for joining us, Florida Mucky Patreon channel. Very, very much appreciate it. You guys are keeping things going. I know the videos here on YouTube used to be a daily thing, sometimes twice a day. I wish I could. I wish I could work 2 jobs and put 2 videos up here and then also do videos on Patreon. I just don't have the time. I'm just a human being. I just don't have the ability to do it. But what I do, I'm going to make sure that it's something that people can take away a blessing from, take away an idea from, take away a thought that perhaps they hadn't heard of before from. So if you'd like to join us, Florida Mucky Patreon channel, where we take the gloves off, there's 4 levels over there, whatever God puts on your heart. Best part about it, we're in the, first week in November here, second week in November. See, December, January, it'd be February, it'd be almost Valentine's Day. You get 90 days, fully refundable, no questions asked. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for being over there. Let's get right to it. Back during his first iteration as president, Donald Trump said, as long as I'm president, America will never be a socialist country. He may not call that by name, but folks, there's only one thing that's going to fix greed. See these grocery prices going up and up and up and up and up. You never saw the companies like Costco or Walmart or Target coming out and saying, boy, we are just barely getting by. We're just charging just a little tiny bit over. They are making record profits. That's why they don't care that they're laying off people going into the holidays. How many people ever heard that? There's usually big layoffs in the first of the year, around January, February. They're laying people off. They're laying people off going into the holidays so they can maintain their record profits. But 4 minutes, 45 seconds. This is the part that's going to blow your mind. This is the part that I want you to share with your friends. This was Donald Trump. People that are against tariffs are fools. We are now the richest, most respected country in the world with almost no inflation and a record stock market price. 401ks are highest ever. We are taking in trillions of dollars and will soon begin paying down our enormous debt, $37 trillion. Record investment in the U.S., plants and factories going up all over the place. A dividend, use that word here, a dividend of at least $2,000 a person, not including high-income people, but why? Will be paid to everyone. Why wouldn't the dividend, if it's a dividend in America based on tariffs, why wouldn't it go to everyone? But here's the part you really need to, this is going to blow your mind, blast from the past. The freedom dividend. Remember the Yang Gang, the universal basic income people? The Yang 2020 crowd that everybody laughed at? Yang Gang, Andrew Yang would implement the freedom dividend. This is what they called it. You can go look this up. This is from way back in 2020. A universal basic income of $1,000 a month for every American adult over the age of 18. This is independent of anyone's work status or any other factor. This would enable all Americans to pay their bills, educate themselves, start businesses, be more creative, stay healthy, relocate for work, spend time for the children, take care of loved ones, and have a real stake in the future. Illegal to lend or borrow against one's dividend. Huh. Now, isn't that strange? It says it would grow the economy by $2.5 trillion, increase the labor force by 4.5 to 4.7 million. Now, isn't that strange that that's exactly what Donald Trump is talking about? All these trillions and trillions of dollars coming in. Trump floats $2,000 tariff rebate checks. What you need to know. Now, this is the crazy part. Remember when he was talking about how we have to be liquid. We have to be liquid. That's why we can't, be paying out all these food stamps and all this kind of stuff. Listen to the man's own words.
They found $31 billion. They came to see me, sir. We found $31 billion. They said, we don't know why. I said, was this a good find or a bad find? It was a good find. It was a plus 31. We're used to finding negative 31s, right, for the last 30 years. I said, check the tariff shelf. Well, those tariffs haven't kicked in. Yes, they did. They kicked in 2 months ago. Check it. He comes back 2 hours later. Sir, you were right. We have an additional $31 billion, billion, not million, Lindsay, billion, that we just found from tariffs. They kicked in earlier than we thought. You were right. And last week.
So wait a minute. That was only a matter of weeks, maybe months ago, that we found this extra 30-something billion dollars that nobody was planning on having. But we can't fund the food stamp program. The number that they were talking about was 7 or 8 billion. Trump says he can't fund SNAP because America has to be liquid. America has to be liquid and keep the cash on hand. Meanwhile, we're burning somewhere between, depending on the estimates, $25 and $40 million a day. $25 and $40 million a day deploying warships that are in essence doing nothing. In essence, doing nothing off the coast of Venezuela. And you can look this up. I'm not making this up. This isn't a fact that you can't check. Warships and submarines. AI. The Gravely, the Stockdale, the Jason Dunham, the Samson, the Lake Erie, the Gettysburg, the Minneapolis, St. Paul, the USS Newport News, a nuclear-powered fast attack submarine. Tell me why we need a nuclear-powered fast attack submarine off the coast of Venezuela to do drug interdiction. An additional unnamed Virginia-class fast attack submarine is also believed to be operating in the region. Amphibious Ready Group. 2 amphibious transport docks and an amphibious assault ship. An entire carrier strike group. A special operations ship, and Coast Guard cutters. $40 million a day, approaching already $1 billion. Approaching already $1 billion. Now, Trust me when I tell you, in a few years, when somebody says, you know what, we're going to do something for you folks that you don't have to be sitting there at the table, end of every month, tapping away on the calculator, hoping you can figure out a way to put together some money for a trip to the grocery store. First of the month comes. When the first of the month comes, there's going to be money show up in your account. And you're going to be able to take that money and you're going to be able to pay every bill you have for that month on the first of the month. How many of you would like to do that? How many of you would like to say, you know what, on the first of the month, this check's going to come in, and every bill that I have, I'm going to pay that day. And I'm going to have money left over. You see, they're not going to care what kind of ism you call it. They're not going to care what kind of ism you call it. When young people can do that and say, you know what, we've actually got some greenbacks that we can put in the piggy bank. And we're putting greenbacks in the piggy bank instead of taking them out every month. They're not going to care what ism you call it. When it stops having to be a fight. I'm sure this is probably going to grab some attention with some people. You know, we don't have a very high marriage rate in the sense that people aren't staying married. The divorce rate's unreal. Most of the reason, you would think it would be infidelity, but it's money. When it stops having to be a fight every month. When Americans aren't having to be forced into impossible choices, stay in my home or lose my self-respect. Stay in my home or lose my self-respect. Maybe the grocery stores shouldn't be about profit. Maybe it really should be about keeping Americans fed and food on the table and moms in the home and people off the street. I found this blurb in some old files that I was going through. Breaking news, U.S. births declined for the 6th straight year, and that was in 2020. For 6 straight years, births had been declining, and they continued to, and have continued to. And this girl pretty much nails it. 6 straight years of birth decline, and now it's 2025. It's almost like if you saddle a generation with massive debt, then hit them with the second economic crisis of their working lives, while simultaneously showing how little your society cares about children or caregiving, they will make choices accordingly. How many of you remember the little home idea? Remember the tiny homes? People have this idea, you know what? Gosh, we don't need these big giant homes in these neighborhoods. We just need something small for ourselves. For a while, for a minute, it was a really good idea. And then capitalists got involved. How many of you can really afford one of those tiny homes now? Because it was no longer, it stopped being about, hey, the great idea of a much smaller home on a much smaller footprint of land, costing less, being less to maintain. You see, it was about, well, gosh, what would somebody be able to pay for it if they thought they could make a profit on it? And all the big companies started buying these things up and then turning them into little Airbnb rentals for people who want to go out and get away to cater to the rich folks. See, the idea of the little tiny home is a perfect example of how capitalism ruins things. When you take something that's good, that's meant to be a blessing, that could really make things better for society, these little tiny starter homes that just had the little 2-story deal, had the little tiny loft bedroom upstairs, one little bathroom, little kitchenette, little living area, very tiny footprint, very tiny lot. To get somebody into their own home instead of being in these giant apartment blocks. Maybe out in the middle of a woods somewhere. Oh no, not now. Some of these places are more expensive than a regular house. Because, of course, capitalism 101. And if you think it's just me, I know I've mentioned the Patriot Nurse before, but this is another, it's actually a friend of the Patriot Nurse. If I remember right, they know each other quite well. Southern Prepper 1. His most recent post today. Boots on the ground. It's kind of his thing where he does a report from all over the country. The guy was former military. I think he was in logistics. And he takes in all of these reports that from all of his viewers from all over the country. He's got 300,000 subscribers. And it says, so much bad economic news, I can't cover it all. And he usually covers his reports, usually are 30 seconds to 45 seconds per person. Nowhere in the country is he getting good news from. And I'll say this again. There was a wonderful video. Go over the Patriot Nurse channel and check it out. It's Papaw Speaks, Pappaw. Just search that word in her videos. Where she was having a conversation so many years ago with her grandfather. And he relates how it was either his uncle or his dad or somebody that he had gotten this shoe stamp. Now, this idea of food stamps, people understand. But back then, things were so bad because of capitalism and the Depression. They had to resort to heavy-handed socialism. There was rationing. And not only did you need to have the money to go buy a pair of shoes, if you needed one, you needed to have a shoe stamp because it was a rationed good. It was a rationed, price-controlled good. And it didn't matter how much money you had. If you didn't have a shoe stamp, you couldn't get a pair of shoes. Well, he was just a boy at that time, and they had gotten their stamps, and there was more other needs in the family that had cropped up, and it was either his uncle or his dad, I forget who it was. They sold his shoe stamp on the black market. And he was out doing all these different things to earn money, and he was living in a home where I think it was his dad drew old age pension of $8 a month, another socialist thing. So $8 a month, and then he was out picking blackberries for 15 cents a gallon, selling tomatoes, gallon buckets for a dime, buying kerosene for 10 cents a gallon. See, the government had a big problem back then with these black market capitalists buying up these shoe stamps. So this isn't anything new. And it's where we're headed. You see, this is a debate. This is a debate, but I don't think it's going to be a debate for very much longer. I really don't. So I will leave it there. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.